First of all, I'd like to welcome you to our first episode in a multiple series called I'm Glad I Heard That. The idea behind this is that we're going to have conversations with a variety of different people who have perspectives and life experiences, and those life experiences that have shaped their faith and kind of driven how they've lived their life. And our hope is that for you guys, as you stop by and listen to this as men, what you would hear in these episodes is something that would make you say, I'm really glad I heard that. And for you to have an opportunity to apply that to your own life, your own relationships, and what you're doing. And also, if whatever you hear in these episodes is interesting to you, we're going to have a podcast, which will be an elongated form of the conversation, so you can stop by and listen to that. And that will be under the podcast name of I'm Glad I Heard That. So tonight for our first guest or our first interview is a friend of mine, Gary Tollefson. And so first of all, Gary, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And it's weird that I'm saying welcome while I'm at your house, but welcome. So I hope you like what I've done with the place. So when you and I were talking a little bit about your moving around last year, you explained to me that when you were in the Boy Scouts, instead of having a typical troop leader, you had Special Forces operators as your scoutmasters?
That's correct. When we were in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Dad was stationed at the Air Force Base called Pope Air Force Base, and when he was overseas in Vietnam, I was in the Boy Scouts, myself and my other two brothers, and we had Special Forces teams, A-teams, that were our scout leaders. So it wasn't just the team, they actually, because of their deployment and their up-tempo going back and forth to Vietnam, we had the entire company as our scout leaders. It was an amazing time.
Yeah, I can't imagine the different, what you learned like for ropes tying and different things like that. It had to be really much more hands-on and great experience for you.
Oh yeah.
Did you, how many years did you end up serving in the military?
I served 32 years. I sent the first 12 years were active, so that would be the normal iteration that you'd have during an enlistment. And then situation happened where my wife and I were having a tough go of it, and I made the decision to leave the military because I was married to my wife and not necessarily married to the military at that time. So I had reserve time, and then when 9/11 happened, I was called up again and had 3 tours in Afghanistan.
Okay. And you're Special Forces, Green Beret.
Yes.
What did you retire as? What was your rank?
E8, Master Sergeant. So in the E grades, you go from E1 to E9. I was an E8. What ended up happening, though, is the command wanted me to go to Command Sergeant Major School to become an E9, and
Okay.
I turned it down 3 times. Because if I was to accept the E9 position as a Command Sergeant Major, I would have to leave the team and go work in somewhere else in the regiment.
So you would potentially have to stop doing the thing that you loved doing.
Amen. With the guys I love doing it with.
The team.
The team. It's all about the team.
And that was part of the pressure on the marriage, right? It's all about the team.
It was all about the team, and I forgot that Tammy was part of the team.
And so what we were talking about for tonight was, you have 32 years of military experience. You started your own company. And but especially in the military, one of the things you learn how to do is you learn how to fight. You learn how to fight wars. You learn how to fight battles. And you wanted to talk with us about just the battles that a lot of men will end up finding themselves in. And so what are some of the things you would like for men to hear about being in battles, not on the war field, not in war, but in our lives?
Yeah, I understand. What I learned about every time we would be deployed, so before we would go off to do operations, we would have to go into the company, and we would go through our basic documents to make sure everything was in place. The beneficiaries were correct on our life insurance. We had a will put in place. Another thing that we learned too was to have Bible verses and songs prepared in the event that I was supposed to die first, in the event that I was to die. And I learned that from when my mom passed away, because when my mother passed away, we didn't know what her favorite songs were, we didn't know what her favorite Bible verses were, and it really put an extra stress on us that we really didn't need at the time. So what Tammy and I did was both of us together would write down our different songs and Bible verses. And of course, that was changing as we grew in our maturity with Christ, too.
When you were able to have those verses read at Tammy's funeral or those songs sang,
Wow. I'm just telling you, wow. It was perfect.
yeah.
Thanks.
This past August, you told me that this is 5 years of when Tammy passed away.
Yes.
And so you're sitting in this first chair perspective as the person who had to bury your wife. And as you said, the plan was you were going to die first.
Correct.
Right? Either in military or in health or whatever. That was the plan.
Well, statistically, that is the plan.
That is right.
But God had a different plan.
Yep. What are some of the things you would like people to hear, especially if you are someone who is trying to walk aside someone who has lost someone?
Yeah, so what I kind of see is the first thing that struck me during this close proximity of Tammy's passing was the funeral. And it was so odd to me. Why does a funeral have to happen so quickly after the passing? I'm not sure exactly why that is, but what I've learned, and I've walked this with many people through my practice as well as family members, is you're not in a position to make good decisions at that time. And it just seems really odd that we should hit the pause button and just say, wait a second, let's not do this so quickly. You know, let's have intentionality involved with it. The second thing that I was able to take away from that time was the selection of my pallbearers. And I went at it with intentionality because I wanted men that would not just be there for the day. I wanted them to be there for the years afterwards. I wanted men that would be able to poke me in the chest and not be afraid to ask the question, how you doing? And not be satisfied with, I'm fine, or I'm okay, or as people who know me, I'm near perfect. So what we did, what these men and I did, was we got together about every month for a dinner at someone's house or a barbecue here or hang out and have a glass of wine or a beer and just hang out together. And it was healing to me because these were guys that wouldn't just say, hi, we'll see you later. These were men that would call me periodically because I gave them the ability to say, yeah, give me a call, check on me, and they would. Even to this day, 5 years later, they still check up on me. What we did, though, was interesting was, it was probably about a year and a half after the funeral that we were getting together periodically once a month. And I said to the men, you know, I think I'm doing better now, and I don't think we have to get together once a month. So I was just trying to release them. And it was interesting because a couple of the guys says, no, you don't understand, Gary. We're not doing this for you anymore. We're doing this for us. We like each other. We're really enjoying our time together. And it caught me off guard because I wasn't prepared for that.
So after a year and a half, you hear from these guys is what it sounds like is they start experiencing community.
Yes.
And that fills their bucket.
And mine.
Right.
It was a win-win.
And that's a hard thing for all of us to do, is to prioritize community. And what you did by asking them to get involved with your life and to call you out, but to be around you is you gave a platform for that to happen. And for me, that's one of the things that, I mean, I appreciate the community that I have with men so much. And my heart breaks because I know a lot of guys don't have an opportunity to do that. And like for you, it took a funeral to create that community, right? But now, for a lot of men, if they can figure out a way to get around other guys, ask occasionally, not obviously be in each other's faces all the time, because none of us would like that, but to really have meaningful conversations, and then, who knows where that will go. So how did you know to be that intentional with your pallbearers in that moment? Because that's a fog, right? You're in crisis, you're in mourning. How did you even think like that?
By the grace of God. I know it sounds hokey to some people, but I'm just saying it was by the grace of God. And if I listed the names, you know them all.
So now that you guys are 5 years into this, as we've talked about, What are some of the things that you've learned through this process?
Yeah. What I've learned is you can't run away from God. You can hide. You can try to hide, but He's always going to pursue. And not to fill the void with bad things. I mean, be careful of trying to fill the void with habits or bad habits, I guess would be a better way to say it. And so I've had to be really careful about what I fill that loss, that void with. And one of the ways I've been able to do that is to stay connected with believers. And I do that, as you know, and many people know, is I'm on the worship team. Mm-hmm. That's my family. That's my inner core family of believers that I can share real life with, and they can share back. And the second one is the pallbearers, as I explained earlier, the men who I still have a relationship that were my pallbearers, was to stay connected with them as believers. And then stay connected with Jesus. And that may sound weird to someone who's listening who's not a believer, but what I found is that I can't, when I'm alone, and I have a lot of alone time.
Yeah.
And if I don't have Christian music playing or some peaceful music playing, the space between my ears can be a little bit dangerous. And so as typically when people come over, I'll have music playing. And I really enjoy having Christian music playing. To be in the Word, driving at my house with people, etc., is helping me to stay connected to Jesus.
What I'm hearing from you, the things that are keeping you in check from going to those dark places, is Jesus, and the way that you keep Jesus in your life is worship, because you're a musician. The people that you're choosing to surround yourself with. One of the things that Joe said in one of his messages a long time ago that really landed on me is that part of the reason you want to build community is because when you need it, it's not going to be the time, you're not going to have time to get it.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
One of the things I would like men to be considering is just this idea, and again, it's hard when you're in your working years, it's hard when you're in those, that 30 to 55 time frame, right, where your career and your spouse or your family are taking all of it, but the importance of how are you going to put good people around you? That is how God worked in your life to help anchor you down, I see.
I mean, I choose to be involved in a worship ministry. I choose not to go to dark places. I choose to be around people that tend to be positive. I make those choices. I choose to worship. I choose this day to be happy.
Yeah.
Those are choices that I make. Now, is it always that way? No, but I choose not to go into the dark places. I mean, I'll give you an example. Have you ever gone to somebody's house that has remodeled, and you walk in the house and you look at the remodeling and you make a positive comment? How many times have you heard someone say, "Yeah, but it's bad over there. Yeah, but. Yeah, but."
Right.
See, I choose not to be the "yeah, but" guy. I choose to be the, "Wow, isn't this awesome? Isn't this amazing?" I try to be in the positive side as opposed to the negative side. And I try to be around people that are going to reciprocate when I'm not so positive.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm in this marriage. I have this wonderful wife. But it is a simple, active step for me be able to choose to dwell on or to think about the things that aren't going well, or that we're need to work on or need to improve and so forth. Is just this importance of choosing to look at the positive.
Yes.
Where does that come from? How did you get that mindset?
I don't. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm gonna say the school book answer. Jesus.
Yeah. No idea.
I really don't know. I don't know. I think that through the years of being involved with a relationship with a lover, a friend, a kind person, Tammy, she was able to open up peel back the onion and open it up and say, you know what, there's more to this work. There's more out there. I really enjoyed this, more than you know. More than you know.